How do I feel about the fact that Paul's not here? Try to imagine how you'd feel if your own brother wasn't here. Then imagine how you'd feel if your best friend wasn't here. Then imagine how you'd feel if one of the humans that you admire and respect more than all the millions of humans that you've met wasn't here. Then imagine if the person that you started this whole saga with, the person that was sitting down on the floor of that airport in Mexico before Fast 1 came out, the person that you had that little conversation with and say, all this will change. We'll never have that thing called anonymity again. Look at us. We're just sitting on the floor in an airport and no one cares. How do you explain what that's like? We were friends in ways that people would never even imagine.
I'm Vin Diesel.
We got along so well that we were screwing around more than half the time.
While you're supposed to be working?
Yeah, exactly.
We grew up in the business together and we became famous together and we represented the biggest franchise together and he was my partner and we were inseparable, always together. He taught me how to live in the moment.
When they first joined the Fast and the Furious franchise, Vin was a completely different person.
Because he's always got the game face on. He's so intense and he's always thinking. He's always in the Dominic Toretto. And it's like, sometimes it used to be for me anyways, it was really hard to differentiate between Dominic and Vin.
I am usually in character. Unlike other actors that can turn it off, I've never had that ability.
Vin and I, it took us a while, I think, to feel each other out. We come from two different worlds.
I grew up in New York City being a bouncer. I remember coming home one night after a big fight, and I run up to the kitchen, I get ice, and my hand's swollen, and just another day at work.
In New York City, you gotta be tough to survive.
But even when Vin finally got his big break, he kept acting tough. Paul saw through the tough guy persona and reached out to Vin.
When Paul would read a line that he didn't like, he would go, Vin, what do you think? He always wanted to know what I thought of the lines and what I thought of, how the characters were playing out.
Vin actually has a really big heart. He represents what every guy wants in an older brother.
But when Vin found out he was about to be a father, his painful past came rushing back.
I came into this world with kind of very mysterious conditions. I didn't know who my biological father was. That wasn't going to be a luxury in my life, to know that.
Vin's father walked out on his mom just weeks before Vin was born. Unlike the men Vin grew up with, Paul knew that supporting family was true strength.
He was a father before I was, even though I was the bigger brother. He sees that I'm not myself. And at the end of the day, he comes into my trailer and he says, what's up? I know you too well. What's going on? I said, I'm going to tell you something that nobody knows. I'm about to have a baby. And I have to go to the hospital now. When you're growing up in New York with a lot of tough guys, they'll say, oh, whatever you do, don't go in the hospital. Stand in the hallway. Don't go in that delivery room.
And he was contemplating going into the hospital to watch labor. He wasn't sure if he wanted to see it or not.
And he said, but Vin, go into that delivery room, be present, and cut that umbilical cord, and it will be the best day of your life. And so I did that, and it was the best day of my life.
I mean, that was the first time, I really felt like I saw Vin, the human side of him. And then after that, it just seemed like things opened up. But, you got to earn it. And with the time that we put in together, you earn more and more every time.
He's the only person in the world that could have told me to go in and cut the umbilical cord. Addressing that fatherhood head on with a pride and a joy.
Just as Paul helped Vin step up for his family, everything went up in flames.
Let's get straight to the breaking news.
Yeah, Paul Walker, one of the stars of the enormously popular Fast and Furious movies, dead in a car crash.
We received a call at about 3:30 this afternoon regarding a single vehicle traffic collision.
We have one vehicle fully involved. Fire's not counted.
Paul has been on countless rides before, but this one turns tragic.
Paul hopped in his friend's car, a 2005 Porsche, Roger behind the wheel, Paul riding shotgun.
When they came past us, they said we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Then next thing we know, we hear a loud noise, a loud bang.
It was just horrible. It was the smoke, and you can smell like charred skin.
Supposedly, the impact knocked him out. And then the car just became this inferno. He's stuck in this car, he's unconscious on impact, and then he just burns alive.
The coroner's office also determined that the cause of death, Mr. Walker, is combined effects of traumatic and thermal injuries, and the manner of death was accident.
Paul's friends from the film came. We had Vin Diesel and Tyrese and Michelle.
Hey, Vin, how you holding up, man?
This was unlike anything we could have imagined. Spent 15 years with a brother, and then one day he's gone. I leaned on him, and he was my rock. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do. I remember thinking that there has to be a way out of it.
But Vin was about to become a dad again.
Sometimes when you lose somebody, you're hypersensitive to all the gifts that they've given you.
Could he be strong for his family without Paul's support?
I couldn't help but to remember Paul and his advice.
You keep going, you know, and you find your way. And sometimes you fall flat on your face and you get up again.
I knew he was there. And as I'm cutting the umbilical cord, I'm thinking to myself, it's all because Paul Walker told me to go into the delivery room. And so once it came time to sign the name, I started writing Paul. And then just added I-N. And it felt like, you know, a way to keep his memory a part of my family and a part of my world.
But there was one member of Paul's family who really needed Vin's support.
I was in a position to protect his legacy.
As your godfather to his beautiful, wonderful daughter.
I know you take good care of Meadow.
To see her with my children is one of the most beautiful things. There are moments when I'll see her playing with Pauline, and it will hit me so deep because I can only imagine what my brother's seeing when he sees that. I feel very protected. It's probably the biggest blessing. I wish you could be here to see this, but I know he's here in spirit.
Vin became stronger than ever by supporting his family.
It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what nationality you are. If you love someone, they're your family. It makes me proud to be a part of this. You would be amazed what you can do with love. You'd be amazed how powerful a force that is. Thank you for honoring me. And more importantly, thank you for honoring that angel, my brother Paul Walker.